All right, Denver. Uh, I guess Jokic is clear number one. I don't think we will discuss much about Jokic at this point. Two players who are coming back from injury would be the more intriguing topics to discuss. Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. We talked about Jamal Murray um, I think early on. I forgot which episode, but how do you see Jamal Murray here? Do you think they're gonna ease
I
him
like
back
Murray this
or
year. I like Murray this year. He was top 40 before he got injured. He's been around that third round, late third, early fourth before he got injured. He's going, I think, 70, sometimes 75 right now. He's sometimes even lower. So people have forgotten about him or worried about the ACL. That's 18 months ago. He's been playing for a while. I know he's gonna miss some back to backs. He's gonna be load managed early in the season, so probably minutes would be 28, 30, maybe, not to 35, 36 like before. But still, range 65, 70. He's a steal there. I actually, uh, he reminds me of Pascal Siakam last year. He reminds me
Mm,
of that.
yeah.
Someone who should be a third and fourth rounder, but going 75 to 80 or 70 to 80 because of injury concerns. And I think it's gonna pay off. So Jamal is someone I like this year.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the peak here is probably the ceiling is around the 50s, so 40s and 50s.
40s, 50s, yeah.
Yeah. If he drops to 70s, that's a big drop already, and that's a nice position. I think it also depends on which type of players. I mean, he is coming off an ACL injury. Um, I think many are concerned about that. Plus, I think if you pick him, just make sure that the other players are somehow quite solid in terms of, not as injury prone as some of the other guys.
Well, Jamal was not an injury prone player. I think it was
Yeah,
just a one off injury. The guy that we're gonna talk about next, Michael Porter Jr. That's the guy maybe that you pair with someone less risky. But the funny thing here is Michael Porter Jr. is climbing up the draft ranks. He's
again.
going Yes, he's going in the late 30s now, sometimes early 40s. So he's way ahead of Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray is at 70. At Yahoo, I think has it at 70 something, if I'm not mistaken. So Porter is way ahead of Jamal Murray in the
And do you
rank.
think he's worthy of that
I
30s
think
pick?
so. You might be surprised, but Um, I listened to some podcasts of Denver analysts, and yeah, the back problem will not go away. But they fixed it now, but it will come back eventually down the road. But they don't know when. So it's like they don't know how long he can still play. Maybe 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So, but I think for this year, he should be healthy. I think he should be healthy this year. He was close to playing last year. So I think he should be healthy this year. Not gonna be 82 game player, of course,
But third
62
round, I mean,
games, but you know,
30s is too high for me.
not 30. He's around 30, late 30s to early 40s. That's where
Yeah,
he's going.
that's
Yeah,
well, that's okay. But I think given the risk, and if in some drafts Kyrie is going lower than Michael Porter Jr., that's crazy. I think if
nah, that's crazy.
you should. I am more afraid of Michael Porter Jr. than Kyrie. Um, just because of
Yeah,
the injury
I could see
history. This
that.
is not like the back injury is not like the first time he's had it. He had this problem, even before. I mean, not maybe exactly the same problem, but he's had back problems even in college, right?
Yeah. But the point is they fixed it then, and then he was able to play for at least 2 years, 3 years. That's what they think. It's not gonna go away. He's gonna be able to play for a couple of years, okay, and then it will come back and haunt him. So I think this year, yes, of course, there's a chance it will hurt
So you're
him this year.
more
But I think
confident with Michael Porter Jr. than Jamal Murray this year?
I'm confident that he's gonna stay healthy. Is
Uh,
it?
yeah, and maybe let's just put it in a way wherein managers you as a manager would not be. What are the chances of you getting disappointed with Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray? I mean, which player do you think you'll get more disappointed with? If they
Definitely Michael Porter because as I said, if he was around 80 or 90 as the first ranks was, I'm okay. I'm okay. But he's climbing up. He's moving up 50s, 40s,
So you
30s.
feel it's a little too high, 40s, 30s.
I think if he was at late 40s, that would be fine. But I see him going early fourth round sometimes, 38, 39. Sometimes 40, 41. A little high for me. I've never been a big fan of MPJ anyways. He's a 3-point shooter who shoots the ball well. I get that. I get that appeal. He rebounds relatively well. Uh, but outside of those, I find it lacking a little bit, the overall stat set of MPJ. And with the risk, I would be more comfortable if he goes maybe in the 50s. In the
Mhm.
50s. So he's probably more probably there's a bigger chance to be disappointed with him
Okay.
than Jamal. If you're gonna go Jamal in the 70s, I mean there's almost zero chance he's gonna be disappointing you unless he gets injured again.
Yeah.
Unless he gets
Uh,
injured.
Another player, let's talk about the shooting guard. I think this is starting lineup. Jamal, I think, starts unless maybe they would decide to ease him a little bit more, but I doubt he doesn't. He comes off the bench, but Jamal starts. KCP probably starts. MPJ starts if he's healthy. If not, maybe Bruce Brown takes his place. Aaron Gordon starts. Jokic starts. KCP, last year he had good value. I mean, not throughout the season, but he was within the top 100 for pretty much majority of the season.
Yeah. KCP is okay. I think he'll love it. He love playing with Jokic. He's gonna get a lot of he cuts very well. He shoots better, I think, than Will Barton. So I think he's gonna have a good season. Maybe later rounds, flyer last few rounds, kind of a pick, but he's gonna be okay. The first five is solid. I think that's the first five. There's no debate about the first five. Maybe the
Yeah.
bench is the thing that's kind of
Well, the
question
bench
mark here.
is not well. It's question mark, but it's also intriguing. Bones Highland is a player, second year
Bones.
player, who probably many would think can somehow get some fantasy value. Um, do you think he's going to be that guy this year?
Yeah. I don't think I know he's gonna get fantasy value. I know he's gonna get fantasy value. He's one of the well sleeper that's of course sleepers. Okay, let's just put it that I mean he's not a sleeper. Everybody's been talking about him. One of the players have been talking about. And if you look at the depth chart, you can see why. Of course, they lost Monte, they
Yeah.
lost Facundo, they lost Austin Rivers. So a lot of course, people will say Jamal came back, but they still need someone to back him up, especially if they're gonna load manage him and he's gonna miss some back to backs and everything else. There, he's gonna miss some games. Bones
Yeah.
will be the sixth man. If you look at the bench, there's no scorer there. There's really no scorer there. So Bones will be the sixth man, and I think they'll give him a lot more chances to score this year.
So are you picking Bones as your surprise
Yeah.
player for for Denver this year?
If I am I picking him?
Are you picking him as your surprise player who might surprise you this year?
He's in my list. I have actually I wrote an article I haven't released yet. One of the possible breakout sleepers kind of players, and he's one of the top players in my list. I don't expect him to be a top 50 player this year, of course not. But maybe
At
an
least break in the top
late
100.
possible, depending on how how Jamal's health uh, goes. But I think Bones, I think he's gonna be around what Tyrese Maxey. Maybe not as good, but the leap of Maxey last year, I think Bones can do that this year.
All right. Yeah, so that's Denver for you. Quite a deep lineup somehow. I mean, at least you get five solid fantasy players in your starting
Yeah,
five, just
I
don't
have
silent.
one more player here, Zeke Nagy. Looking at the well, I hope they don't play DeAndre Jordan, of course, backing to back up Jokic because he really can't play anymore. So Zeke last year was able to get some value late in the season. So look out for that backup slot. Remember in Philadelphia we talked about Embiid's backup at that time,
Yeah.
and we said there's no backup there. We talked about Paul Reed. Of course, they signed Montrezl Harrell the other day. So now Reed's value kind of is 50-50 because of Harrell's entry. Now here in Denver, something similar might happen if they sign another veteran. But as of now, if it's just the Andre Jordan, if you're in very deep leagues, watch out for Zeke Nagy. Maybe a very, very deep league player to consider.